The Indian Act was created in 1876 as a means of consolidating all previously created laws regarding Aboriginal people. Over time, there would be many revisions to the Indian Act, but the original document was created to serve only a few purposes.
Firstly, it encouraged Aboriginal people to get rid of their Indian status, and it made sure that the Canadian government could choose who received Indian status. The original document appointed a Superintendent General of Indian Affairs who dealt with the Aboriginal people, their land, their political system, and how the reserve land was split into sections.
Over the next 100 years or so, there were many changes made to the Indian Act. Here are some of the more notable ones. Religious ceremonies and dances are prohibited. All dances, ceremonies, and festivals that involve the wounding of animals or humans or the giving away of money or goods are now illegal. It is now mandatory for Aboriginal parents to send their children to residential schools, with the penalty if they do not send them being imprisonment. Western Indians are now required to seek official permission before appearing in Aboriginal costume in any dance, show, exhibition, stampede, or pageant.
One of the biggest revisions to the Indian Act came in 1985 in the form of Bill C-31. Bill C-31 brought many changes to the Indian Act. These changes attempted to do three things: remove discrimination in the Indian Act, restore Indian status and member rights to any who had lost them, and allowing Indian bands to have more control over their affairs. The bill also included gender and child equality. It prevented anybody from losing or gaining Indian status because of marriage. Also restored Indian status to anybody who had lost it due to discrimination. The Act did most of what it was supposed to do, but didn't do its job to appease the discrimination the Aboriginals frequently experience.
Indian status is another issue dealt with a lot in the Indian Act. It provides a couple benefits such as significantly reduced travel costs, easy immigration, and exemption from certain taxes if you live and work on reserves. There are quite a few programs available to status Indians to help with everything from mortgage and housing grants to special programs for inmates in prisons. Your Indian status could be revoked for any of the following reasons: joining the army, obtaining a university degree, or marrying non-Indians. This applies only to women. The Indian Act has its limitations and will always be considered discriminatory. The government can't change that without major consequences. They have tried for over 100 years, but the Indian Act has still not been perfected. Our question is, have the revisions to the Indian Act had the effect that the government said they would? In the case of Bill C-31, some of the changes that the government proposed it would achieve were achieved, but not all of their expectations were or are reasonable. There is no definite answer to our question.